I want to get right to the Newsmaker hotline where Stefan DiPietro is joining us. Stefano, always great to have you on in times of, snowmageddon, snowpocalypse. What do you prefer? What is your silly little term for what's going to happen?
I do enjoy snowmageddon. However, will it just be snow is now the question.
That is the question. We had a little bit, just to let you know, Stefano, we had a little bit of controversy early in the show because Joan was talking about the American model and Sam was talking about the European model. And
that was the other way around.
Whatever. Yeah. Listen, details don't matter. Don't bog me down with your little details. Okay. Anyway, so how do you guys decide? Because before it was like all snow. Now we're talking about possibility of ice mixed in. What model do you follow, or do you follow a model?
So it's a very good question because you should never just follow one model, especially this far out. They all have their different conditions that they're taking into account. They're just guidance models. They're not the word. It's not stamped down that that's exactly what's going to happen. Of course, there are some models that tend to be more accurate than others. So, for instance, the European model was really the first one to show that, hey, this might not be just a snow event. It might change over to some icy mixing, and now that's kind of what we're starting to see. So normally when you start to see a lot of these models come in line with one another and they're starting to show the same things, the same exact trends, that's when you can start to jump on things with a little bit more certainty. But so far out, you've seen these posts, I'm sure, all over social media, 24 inches in downtown Nashville. That's just absurd. That would be record-breaking and just goes completely against everything we know about the climatology of the area. We kind of knew that early on models were kind of over-exaggerating things a little bit. Still looks like, though, it'll be significant. It's just a matter of what areas see that changeover.
Okay, so is it too early to tell right now? Like where do we stand right now?
We stand right now, from what I'm seeing this morning, we're standing more and more into this being more of a snow and a mix kind of situation. So, that's honestly worse than this just being snow. If this was snow and we got, a significant amount of it, snow is snow. When you put ice into the mix, though, the risk of power outages goes up. The snow and sleet become heavier. It's wetter, so it's much harder to move and plow and shovel. So right now, I don't think this is a snow event only. I really do think that we're going to see this probably start as snow, and then a lot of the area is going to change over to sleet and freezing rain and cause a whole mess of problems.
Hey, Stefano, I have a question for you. So after this snow rain event moves through, the temperatures look like they're going to be very cold, and that's not helping things at all.
No, they are going to, plummet is a little of an exaggeration, but we're not going to get above freezing again until maybe Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. So if you guys remember, I think it was back in 2023 before Christmas, we had that big snow event and then everything froze the next couple of days because it got so cold. Same situation. This time around, though, we may already have ice on the ground from freezing rain, and it's not going to go anywhere. Overnight lows Sunday night and Monday night, so Monday and Tuesday morning, we'll wake up in the single digits. Road salt and brine solutions stop working under 20 degrees. So that means that road crews will be fighting a losing battle with temperatures dropping so quickly overnight.
So, how long do you think that people are going to be stuck in their neighborhoods? Because I'm thinking about my neighborhood, and it's going to take a minute. I live in a very hilly neighborhood, of course. So, you're thinking maybe by Wednesday, Thursday, we might see enough of a temperature increase to see some of this melt?
Absolutely. By Wednesday, Thursday, we should get back above freezing. The problem is refreezing overnight. So we'll get back above freezing on Tuesday, but then, Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, we drop below freezing again. So it will get better the middle of next week and toward the end of next week for sure. But I really think the way things are looking right now, I'd expect impacts to continue into Monday and all the way through Tuesday very easily just because of how cold it's going to be. Road crews are going to have to focus on the interstates, the main roads. Your typical neighborhood roads are going to be, maybe cased in ice here for a couple of days.
Which probably tells you that knowing, for example, in Wilson County and other counties too, but I know Wilson County because that's where Riker is that you've got some of these schools that are further out, and so their roads don't get cleared nearly as quickly as some of the more city-driven roads. And so the kids, I mean, they may not go back to school till what, Wednesday, Thursday, maybe Friday?
I mean, it's very well a possibility. You know, I don't know how the school systems exactly work, but you're exactly right. I mean, you know, these school districts, they're so far and widespread, and people come from all over. If we get a major ice storm out of this, you know, you may not go back to school the entire week. And I wouldn't say that that's a complete definite, but we really have to watch the mix, the changeover. I know everybody's hyped up about the snowfall totals, right? We're getting a foot of snow. We're getting 2 feet of snow. That's what a lot of people are posting. If we change over to ice, I'm significantly more concerned about that than I would be a foot of snowfall. I mean, I grew up in the Northeast, and I can tell you, and we've seen it down here in the South as too, ice is significantly worse than snow. Snow can be moved. Ice isn't going anywhere.
Do you think that, you know, because you've been around the block, of course, weather-wise, so do you think that Middle Tennessee and, you know, all of our surrounding counties, including Nashville, do you think that they're well prepared for this kind of a weather event?
I really think they're as prepared as they can be because, you know, we've gotten a surge of plow trucks recently. I think that we're much more prepared than we were years ago. But I don't know how much anybody can be prepared if this ends up being, you know, more of an icing situation. Like I said, you know, with temperatures dropping so much, and this goes for everywhere, by the way. I mean, this is in the Northeast. This is in Colorado. This is in the Pacific Northwest. Temperatures drop below a certain number, and you start losing the impacts that salt can do on the roadways. And eventually they have to put sand down on the roadways to try to actually get some traction. So it's really going to be tough, and it's going to be a fight for these road crews to try to get things back to a sense of normalcy as we go through the weekend and next week.
Is this going to be heavy snow?
When the snow comes down, yes, it will be heavy.
Because you got I was telling folks the difference between like snow and heart attack snow. Like, you know that, right, Stefano?
Yes. Yeah, it'll be, so it looked like earlier on when we weren't going to see this changeover, it was going to be a light, fluffy consistency, kind of that powdery. You could just take a leaf blower and probably blow it off your car.
Right.
But now that surge of warmer air looks like it's coming in and we're more focused on a changeover to mixing, that would make the snow that falls much more of a wet and heavy consistency. And listen, I'll tell you this, regardless of numbers, once you get over 6 inches of snow, and, you know, we're not talking exact totals here, but no matter where you are, once you get over 6 inches of snow, there are problems everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's the big thing to keep in mind. You know, numbers are numbers. This is going to be a highly impactful winter weather event for us regardless, so you need to be prepared.
All right, so do you have time to give us just like a regional, like, okay, north of 40, south of 40, east of 65? Do you have those, you know, sort of early indications?
So it looks like the best chance for the biggest icing concern south of I-40, north of Interstate 40, most likely going to be the area where we'll see more consistent snow, and then along I-40 we'll get snow and change over to that mixing. So right now kind of looks like that's what we're expecting. Heavier snowfall totals north of I-40, along and south of I-40, the snowfall totals drop. Doesn't mean they're not going to be there, but it means that that's because we're focused more on mixing sleet and ice into those areas as well.
All right, thank you. Stefan DiPietro, always great to have you on, and good luck. And I know that you folks are under the gun here, so we'll continue to monitor the weather along with you folks.
It's always a pleasure, guys. If you want to call back the next couple of days, we'll be here.
All right, very good. Thank you. See, Joan, he knew what heavy snow is, heart attack snow.
He gave you a little pause there.
He did.
And it made me think, oh, my gosh, he's going to embarrass him.
And I do enough of that myself, embarrassing
But
myself.
he pulled through. Yes, he pulled through.
You know, there's that.
So as it changes, you know, he keeps us updated. So as it changes, this forecast will continue to change. We're going to stay on top of it.
So if I heard it right, south of I-40
is going to be more icing.
Is going to be more icy, and then north of I-40. So in other words, you know who's really going to be screwed? Murphy Show.
Oh?
You know where he lives now, right?
Yeah. So
Murphy-Lago? It's down...
Frickin' Mount Pleasant.
Is that where... Okay, so Matt lives in Mount Pleasant now.
Yeah.
And so he's going to be dealing with a lot of ice and all that kind of stuff. So I hope he's got his home studio set up already. Because he literally just moved on, I think, Monday, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
oh, wow, he is out there. I just looked at where that is. I thought I was out there.
No, he's out there. Like, he's very out there. But, he can come in when traffic isn't really all that bad. You know what I mean? Like in the midday?
Yeah.
So to speak. So it sounds like in Mount Juliet, I'm going to get a little bit of, I'm going to get a lot of snow, more icy south of I-40.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about Murfreesboro because that's sort of whatever. I guess, yeah, Murfreesboro is south of I-40, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So, all right, there you go.
I think I'm going to be home for a while. Wow.
Worst comes to worst, I'll take the four-wheeler in.
Can he come pick me up, Sam?
I don't know if you want. I mean,
I'm just kidding.
If you've ever ridden, at least a few miles in the cold on a four-wheeler with nothing protecting you wind-wise, it's not necessarily the most
I've always
pleasurable
wanted
experience.
to go. I've always wanted to go with a snowplow. Go on a snowplow.
Wouldn't that be fun?
You ever done that, Joan?
I haven't.
I want to bury somebody's car.
Justin Jones.
Yes.
Let's find Justin Jones' car and bury it in snow.
Well,
I like it.
You know what I think would be even better?
You want to talk about white supremacy? It's all over your car, Justin Jones. I'm kidding. I kid.
Oh,
Here I
my
was about
gosh.
to make an innocent joke about freezing it so it would be trapped in ice.
Listen, Jones over there probably thinking about slashing tires. So,
Well, you know what? It gets really cold. It's hard to slash the tires because the rubber on the tires gets really hard to slash.
Tornado 5 actually brings up a great point.
Yeah.
What are you guys going to do if there are power outages and you cannot broadcast from home?
That's a really good
The FCC
question.
will give us a pass because if there's power outages all over the place, there's likely one here.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. Okay. We've never had a power outage at the radio station. I've never had. I'm not going to say it.
Backup power, right?
Yeah, we do. We do have backup power here.
I wonder
so.
if it's rated for what's happening this weekend.
I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see what happens. We have been through. I've been here a long time. We've been through these kinds of things before, and it is always not as bad as predicted.
So that's, you know what, I wanted to ask Stefano that question because at first it started out as, the snow. And now we're talking, there's going to be some ice, rain. What are the chances that by the time it gets here, we'll get some wind, a few drops of rain,
Right.
and it's out of here?
Yeah.
Like that happens.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And all that hype.
0181. Is this the ice everyone is protesting? I had an ice joke yesterday. I can't remember what it was, but anyway, yeah.
Ice.
No.
It was people. Pretty soon, liberals will refuse ice in their sodas.
Joan, you missed that great joke that I said, which is, liberals aren't going to want ice in their sodas because of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got it. That was perfect, Sam. Perfect.
Moving right along. Dustin Kittle is joining us on the Newsmaker Hotline. Dustin, of course, you're probably familiar with Dustin at this point. He's been on my show several times. And Dustin, you are an attorney and a farmer, and appreciate you being here on Super Talk. Also, remind me where in Tennessee you live, Dustin?
We live in Santa Fe down in Murray County.
So how bad is, just real quick, how bad is the snow looking for you and your crops and your goats and your sheep and all that?
Oh, it's looking like we're going to get a pretty heavy snow down here, and we've got cattle and horses and sheep, so that's going to be a lot of fun over the weekend.
Okay, well, good luck with that, but we do have some urgent matters right now. So there is a bill that is going to be heard in the Tennessee State Legislature, and basically what it does, and is this basically the same bill that you and I spoke about last year, where it would give pesticide manufacturers liability. And so they would be essentially immune from any culpability, even if their pesticides perhaps give people cancer.
That's right. And there are a few very minor adjustments on it, but at the end of the day, what that bill is going to do is take away a citizen who could prove theoretically in a court of law that there's causation between a chemical product and, let's say, for example, they're being diagnosed with cancer. What this bill is going to do is if the EPA has signed off on that product previously, it's going to take away that citizen's right to be able to seek recourse in a court of law before a jury of their peers. And so obviously that's a bedrock principle of this country that we're doing away with. And the best comparison point is probably what we do already with pharmaceutical companies.
So help me understand, what is the law now? Like, what is the policy now? And by the way, is this a state-by-state thing? This is not a federal law. It's a state-by-state policy?
That's correct. And, of course, when this bill came up a year ago, Tennessee was poised to potentially be the first state to pass this immunity bill. It ultimately was tabled until this year. You had a few other states that have passed it, Georgia being one, but the vast majority of states rejected this bill. And in fact, you had the chemical companies, and we're talking about the Bayers of the world, which was formerly Monsanto. They lobbied our federal legislators to put it in a federal bill. And it was just recently, as I understand it, removed from federal legislation. And so now it's a state-by-state situation. And my full expectation, and I think that this is an absolute shame for the people of the state of Tennessee. I think it's disgraceful what the legislators are doing, but I think that this bill will pass today.
Missouri, Georgia, Iowa have all passed similar legislation. So I guess you and I both know, and people listening know, the MAHA movement, Make America Healthy Again. I mean, this seems right along the line of what MAHA would be, which is holding these companies accountable if they have chemicals in their pesticides and so forth that give people cancer. So this, I mean, help me understand. This is decidedly anti-MAHA, is it not?
Oh, absolutely. The original attorney that litigated these cases involving glyphosate was Robert F. Kennedy Jr. In fact, it was his litigation that ultimately, I think, could arguably be said bankrupted Monsanto, with Bayer buying them out. This is definitely against everything that MAHA stands for. As you know, we were very close with the Kennedy campaign. This was a point of emphasis for that campaign to not allow these chemical companies to have immunity because, you know, really the only chance we've got as a private citizen is to have our day in court. And what this does is it would take it away. And again, all these chemical companies have to do at that point is to convince the EPA that their product is safe. And I mean, as a private citizen, we've seen over the last 5 years, the federal government at times gets things wrong. And after the fact, we have to go back and hold those companies accountable. And again, when you've got a direct line between an entity like the EPA and these chemical companies, it makes it impossible for the private citizen to be able to have any influence there. And so the hope is you could go before a jury of your peers and get some kind of recourse. And really, this bill is being pushed because the citizens have had success in proving causation that these chemicals do cause cancer.
So let me ask, and by the way, when you said our government has been known to get things wrong, I openly laughed at that because the understatement of the year. So absolutely, I agree with you. Let's talk a little bit about the EPA because that seems to be where this argument is focused on. So talk about the EPA. I know that, with some of these pharmaceutical companies, you got people that work in the pharmaceutical companies. Then they end up going to work for, the FDA, the federal government. And it's a very incestuous kind of relationship. Is there a reason? I'm going to give you a softball question here, Dustin Kittle. Is there a reason why we should not trust the EPA?
Absolutely. We shouldn't trust any entity really out there that
Right.
we aren't allowed to influence in some way. You know, when you talk about a representative, at least you can hold them accountable at the ballot box. When you're talking about these companies that could cause harm, at least you could bring suit against them. When you're talking about a federal agency, you've got no power to influence them whatsoever. And as you mentioned, you have so much crossover between these federal entities and these federal agencies and these companies that ultimately they end up becoming one and the same through corporate capture. And, you go back, and Monsanto's the perfect example. And, of course, this is the company really that's at the heart of what this bill is. you go back and you look at litigation, what came out is that the EPA and Monsanto was essentially working together. There is a reason that juries were awarding damages in these cases. This was not a situation where juries were unduly influenced. I mean, Monsanto can go out and hire the best attorneys in the country. They can go out and hire the best experts in the country. If our private citizens are beating them in court, there's a reason for that.
But really, all eyes are on Friday and Saturday when the big, heavy snow event, possible ice event also is going to hit. We've got your complete forecast coming up here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Dustin, let me ask you this. When you start talking about some of these products that have long been accused of causing people cancer, I mean, you've got the pesticides and all this. So for the people out there that are just listening and they're not sort of mired in the MAHA movement, they don't know all the details on all of this stuff, talk about these various products that are known to or suspected of causing cancer.
Well, it's numerous, as you said, pesticides and herbicides, and glyphosate has become kind of the poster child of it, although there are other chemicals. And what has been found in these other cases is that glyphosate, there is a correlation between exposure to glyphosate, liver and kidney damage, endocrine disruption, certain very specific types of cancer. And again, when you're talking about something like a non-Hodgkin lymphoma, you've got experts that can come in and they can evaluate the exposure level and they can evaluate the specific type of cancer. And essentially they have earmarked causation in those situations. And again, these cases, we're not talking about these cases having all come in the state of California. That some of the largest verdicts have come in states like Missouri and in states like Georgia and states like Pennsylvania. They had 3 cases at the outset on this for glyphosate to where there were going to be test cases because companies like Bayer and Monsanto, they didn't believe that a jury would ever find that there was causation. They lost all 3 cases. And not only did they lose them, they had hundreds of millions of dollars of punitive damages assessed, and the judges ultimately had to reduce the damages because the juries felt that it was so overwhelming in the evidence that the company needed to be punished for their wrongdoing.
Let me ask you, because there's always going to be another side, and I've heard from and I've seen and listened to commercials and so forth. You know, farmers are saying that they don't want the regulation, and they're all for this ability for the chemical companies not to be held accountable for these chemicals in their products. Is it true that farmers are actually for this legislation? I mean, how does this impact farmers? Because it would seem to me like they're the ones that could be most impacted by this.
It is. The farmers in this, and this is where Bayer and this is where representatives like Rusty Grills should be absolutely ashamed of themselves. If you've seen some of the billboards over the last year from this Modern Ag Alliance to where you supposedly have farmers that are in favor of this and making this argument that we've got to have these chemicals. Number one, farmers are the number one class of people that are impacted by this. And you're going to take away their ability to pursue any kind of relief down the road. But the other side of this is those billboards were sponsored by the Modern Ag Alliance, essentially pretending to be farmers. When they uncovered the paperwork on it, they found out that that entity was founded by Bayer.
Interesting comment on our text line. Dan, if a product is safe, why do the chemical companies need immunity? I mean, Dana's right. And I guess my question is, okay, so if the state legislature passes this, then the governor can veto it. Is there any kind of an indication as to where Governor Lee would be on this?
You know, I've not heard as to whether he would veto it. There was a lot of hope that the governor in Georgia was going to veto that bill when it passed there. They were one of the first states to pass it. And ultimately, he actually allowed it to go through without entering a veto. When it comes to Bill Lee, and I'll tell you, one of the groups that's really pushing this, and it's what makes it difficult, Go and look and see everybody that votes yes for this is probably going to have a campaign donation from the Farm Bureau. And you might say, well, aren't they supporting the farmers? No. Quite frankly, on this, they are not. When you look at it, when you get down to the bottom level of it, what they are doing is what Farm Bureau, unfortunately, has begun doing over the course of the last decade, and that's taken up for big ag. You look at the National Convention of Farm Bureau, and you're going to see companies like Bayer that's sponsoring it. And quite frankly, I think that Farm Bureau values those relationships over doing what's best for the farmer. So, it's a situation where our representatives are captured. I'm not sure what Governor Lee will do with it, but my fear is that it will come to pass.
And there is, and I know nothing about farming. I kill cactus. So, but is there alternate chemicals or whatever that farmers can use to spray the crops and all that? Are there other ways to, other products that they can use outside of the Monsantos, et cetera?
Well, there are some other products, but the kind of the key indicator here is you had a company like Bayer, which when all of these litigation actions were being pursued and they started getting hit with damages, they adjusted the formula of their residential product. And that's the way it should work. That's the free market working. They went before a jury, and a jury told them, you've got this wrong, you're causing harm to people, and they had to go back to the drawing board and make corrections to it so that they wouldn't get sued in the future. All of a sudden, if a bill like this passes, you've created this negative incentive. If you think they're pushing the envelope now, just wait until they can't be sued for it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, again, I think you're going to have situations to where, just like in the pharmaceutical industry, when you have these companies that know that no matter what they put out there, no matter what harm they do, that there's no recourse, again, they're going to push that line as far as they can go, because at the end of the day, those companies are trying to make a profit. And of course, if you're not having to pay out damages when you're causing someone harm, that's going to increase the profit.
And it all comes back to the EPA and the labeling, because what they can say is, look, we had a label on the packaging, right? And so it all goes back to that EPA packaging.
That's exactly right. And then you take something like the vaccine industry. You think the vaccine industry's ever got anything wrong on it? And all they've got to do is get federal government approval to put something out. And then again, it doesn't matter if it kills you. You can't take them to court to hold them accountable. And again, there's nothing that a representative could tell me that could convince me that any private company should get immunity in our courts. And, we've got all these people that all of a sudden they're experts on glyphosate. Listen, I represented some of the top chemical companies in the country, and I'm here to tell you, and I was defending them on cases, and I'm here to tell you this is a mistake. There is a lot that goes on behind the scenes that the people don't know that ultimately comes to light in discovery in these cases. And that's the only way it's ever found out, and we're about to lose the ability to do that. So
there's no 1754 says the organic argument is just ignorant, which I'm ignorant on farming, sorry. So there's no organic option. I mean, the 1754, I guess, as a farmer, it says, well, there's no other options out there.
Well, I would disagree with that. And of course, if and this is the fear-mongering aspect of it. You've had Bayer for the last year saying, if we don't get these bills passed, we're going to have to take this product off the market.
Dustin, I hate to interrupt, but I'm running so short on time. Can't these chemical companies come up with an organic version of the chemical-laden products that they have?
Absolutely. They can fill that void. And beyond that, in all of these states where this bill has failed in the past, they've not took the product off the shelves anywhere. It's a threat. It's fear-mongering. They're trying to get ahead. If they get this bill passed, it's more money that's in their pocket. It's less attorney's fees they have to pay. And when they kill somebody, they don't have to pay that $1 billion judgment. Again, it creates completely negative incentives.
I used to have this stuff, Dustin, called Orange Guard. I don't know if you know what that is, but we used to have really bad ants in my house in California. And we had small kids in the house, and we were very cognizant of the chemicals in like the Raid and some of these other things. We found this stuff called Orange Guard, And I mean, it worked like a charm, and it was organic. And so I know that there are options out there with the science that we have these days. There's got to be options out there that are organic or something that is less, deadly than some of these, more poisonous than some of these things that are on the market currently. So, Dustin, I appreciate the call, and you're saying this is more than likely going to pass?
That's my opinion on it, yes. And last year I was part of the effort that helped get it pushed. Yep. This year we've not been able to give the attention to it because we've had some local matters we're working on, but my concern is it is going to pass.
Dustin, as always, thank you for joining us here on Nashville's Morning News, and we'll talk again soon.
Thanks, Sam.